Most CTOs today have never actually led technology at the scale. They've led either at one small company, one company on one size or one stage of the company. And that's why most digital transformation fail because it requires a lot of other experience as well of different size of the company. My guest today is the exception. Welcome back to the CTO Story. I am today's host, Nishant Bijar. And today I am sitting down with somebody who is going to say things in the podcast that most of CTOs and CIOs will feel uncomfortable because he has earned the right to say. George Alexandrou, nearly 17 years of experience as a CTO and CIOs across different organizations, starting from S&P Global as a director of IT, strategist as fractional CTO at Bridgepointe, and before of that, he started his career in the PepsiCo as well. So that's where he started, and that's how he is being expanding his career. Here is what makes George dangerous to talk to. He's been into boardroom of Fortune 500 giants. He been into chaos of early stage startups as well. So he knows what works in small companies and small startups at the speed, what works in the Fortune 500 companies as well. Today we are going to talk about the things CTO whisper about but never say loud. Why most of the companies are wasting millions of dollars on the wrong tech stack. Why the role of CTOs is being quietly rewritten by AI. The one that you see today, the role of CTO will change for sure. And that's what AI is rewriting that. If you are a CTO or aspiring CTOs or a founder who thinks you already have figured out the tech, this conversation might change your mind. George, welcome to the CTO story. Let's get into it. Perfect. Thanks, George, for joining today's podcast. Walk us through your journey from where you started holding CTO, CIO positions, and different board advisory as well. How it looks, what it looks. Tell us a little bit about yourself. All the people who are watching this right now, they are so excited. Help me to understand who George is, what it does, and how exactly your journey so far in your professional career.
Sure. Happy to. Thank you for having me. So I began my career at PepsiCo, deeply immersed in technology with a strong focus on development, architecture, and hands-on problem solving. Early on, I played a key role in major transformation initiatives. That was well before holding a CTO or CIO position. I built a strong foundation not only by architecting and delivering large scale solutions, but also by teaching, mentoring, and sharing knowledge. I was a founding member of PepsiCo's Global Center of Excellence and the Enterprise Architecture team. I also partnered closely with PepsiCo's business units to help define the company's demand management, methodology, and emerging technologies team. Among several critical systems, I led the Pepsi sales and delivery platform, a large-scale solution supporting more than 30,000 delivery drivers in the USA. Serving as a chief architect and manager, I operated at the intersection of business and technology, ensuring alignment between strategic goals and execution. This experience significantly expanded my scope. I moved into broader chief architect and technologist roles, supporting IT international organization across Pepsi Mexico and Pepsi Europe. There, I transitioned from single platform ownership to global multi-market leadership, navigating complexities, cultural differences, and enterprise scale transformation.
Interesting. This is like exciting. It looks like your journey of 25 years. It's full of experience. Love it, George. I think I see the energy. Uh, you've been working on different roles, right, George? You've been working at PepsiCo, then you transitioned the CTO role, then you moved into right now as a chief architect, chief information officer. You work as a fractional CTO as well. So there is a
Right.
different hats you wear in different organization. Yeah. So I hear like you wear different hats in different roles. Sometimes you sit as a CTO, sometimes you sit as a IT strategist, sometimes you sit together as a board advisor as well.
Right.
It's
So I went
it's too
through.
much, So how
Yeah.
how you manage the focus? So help me to understand a little bit about that.
So after PepsiCo, I went through different layers and expand my experience from working for startups, manufacturer, wholesaler. So, and at the end, I end up working as a strategist and a fractional CTO for Bridgepointe Technology.
Okay.
So, I, so I manage multiple roles by aligning everything with the company's roadmap and priorities. Each serve as a single source of truth across execution, strategy, governance. Right now, as a fractional CTO, my focus is on driving the roadmap forward through delivery, T alignment, and technical decisions. Right, that's one part of my job. The other part is as an IT strategist. I use the same roadmap to shape longer term planning, investment decisions, and capability building. Right. So the
Beautiful.
third part, yeah, the third part of my work is as a board advisor or the executive team advisor. Right
Mhm.
there, I step up a level to evaluate whether the roadmap aligns with business objectives, risk tolerance, and growth targets. Right. So to
Interesting.
stay focused, how do I stay focused? I time box responsibilities by context into three main areas. Right.
Mhm.
Execution is number one.
Okay.
Number two is planning and strategy. And number three, advisory governance. Right.
Interesting.
So
So
these
CTO does the governance as well. Very interesting. I never knew that.
advisory governance, right? That's one of the actually is very important part of my job.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good to know. Good to know. So by doing this all, how your week look like? So help me to understand, like as a CTO, as a CIO, strategist, board advisor, how's your week look like? So if I want to be aspiring CTO, so let's say I'm a senior software
sure.
engineer right now. How's
Yeah,
your week look like if I want to become a CTO? And if I become a CTO, how's my week look like? Help me to understand to my audience.
good question. Faces every week. So as a fractional CTO, right, there isn't really a typical week, right? But there is a consistent rhythm. The the job is less about coding or firefighting and more about orchestration, prioritization, and leverage across multiple organizations.
Okay.
So here's what a typical week looks like in practice, right? So I start my week by alignment, with alignment by getting the lay of the land across clients, right?
Okay.
Imagine you're not working for one company right now, you're working for multiple clients, right? So for example, how do I start my week? Review KPIs, dashboards, right? Any weekend incidents, leadership checks in. So I check in with the CEO, COO, CIO, right? And any other product leads.
Okay.
Look for emerging issues or decisions needed, right? So through those discussions, I always get questions and what we should do here, what we should do there, right?
Mm,
Then my week continues what I call strategic influence mode. That's my biggest part, right? That's where I put more real value. So example, what is architecture reviews and technical direction, product engineering roadmap alignment, evaluating vendors, platforms. A big question comes to me all the time: should we build this or buy it? Right.
mm,
So
interesting.
uh, it's always these questions, and then at the end of the week, I shift my strategy to ensure that things are really moving. Right. Everything is great, but if projects are not moving, we're having a problem. Right. So
Yeah, yeah.
summarizing progress, risk, decisions for each client. Right. Send updates to executives. I mean, be transparent with your clients. It builds trust, right?
Makes sense.
Um, Prep priorities for the following week. And then there's another mode in my weekly, I call it the everyday mode or the ongoing mode, right? These functions usually run throughout the week. Again, as a fractional CTO, I'm not operating in a stable environment, right? I'm moving across multiple ones that can be different, right?
That's true.
I give you an example. I'm constantly shifting my attention and thinking style depending on which organization I'm working at the moment, right? I need to protect my focus, not just my focus, actually my client's focus, right? Because sometimes they're all over the place, right? Um, and of course, changing my work and focus priorities based on business impact. The business impact changes constantly, so I need to be on top of that.
Makes sense. So what I understood is like your role in the daily, weekly. So there is a daily mode that you need to work with the customer. You need to think from the strategic point of view. You need to think from governance point of view as well every week. You need to think from the vendors. Okay, is this vendor right? Evaluate new vendors because the customer demand gonna keep changing. So get it. So I think there is a different roles that you play still becoming a CTO. So it is not just about architecture review or just coding. You do a lot of
Right.
strategic work as a CTO as well. Love it. I think that's very very good insight because normally people have a mindset like CTO, they do the coding. So this is the difference actually. CTO is not just a senior software engineer or a tech lead. It's all about strategic decision as well. Evaluate technically, align with CEO as well, CO as well. Make sure we are aligned, and then there is internal buying, selling happens as well. Good. I think that love it, love it. Uh, Tell me now. Let's a little bit shift the direction on digital transformation, and I think your favorite topic is ID strategy as well. So you go in different organization. You started your journey in PepsiCo, and then eventually you work in different organization as well.
Right.
Digital transformation means different things to different organizations.
Right.
It is not the same thing for everybody. So let's say if I'm a startup positions, my digital transformation is which tool I need to use. Okay, how to fast check the output. So that's a different for startup. When I go to SMEs, that's a little bit different. Then if I go to enterprise, that's the whole different story altogether because they have a
Right.
different vision. They want to be ahead. They want to be the leader of the market. So for that, the digital transformation is totally different. So help me to understand as a CTO how you
Yeah.
approach startups, SMEs, Fortune 500 companies for digital transformations and what it means for them.
Yeah, I'm trying to ask a question. My strongest interest lies in digital transformation and IT strategy, right? They go together. So I define digital transformation as the intentional alignment of technology, data, and operating models,
Mm.
right? They all enable measurable business outcomes. For example, right? Growth, efficiency, customer experience, or even speed to market, right? Uh, it's not about adopting new tools or new technologies for their own sake, right? It's all about evolving how the business operates. So technology becomes a core driver of value rather than a support function.
Mm.
So my digital transformation approach varies based on the maturity of the organization, right? We have three huge categories: the startups, SMEs, and the Fortune 500. So for a startup, right, digital transformation is about building the right foundation early with lean architecture and scalable platforms. The focus is on speed, flexibility, and avoiding technical debt that will slow growth, right?
Mm.
That's the first experience I had in my career after PepsiCo was a startup. For an SME, the emphasis shifts to innovation and integration, ensuring that the technology remains modern. Here,
Mm.
transformation often means replacing or integrating legacy systems, standardizing processes, improving data visibility, and creating more cohesive technology environment that supports scaling and scaling the business.
Mm.
Now, the final one, the Fortune 500, and I had the fortune enough to work for some of them, is digital transformation is more complex and strategic, right? It involves managing legacy ecosystems, driving large-scale change management, and aligning multiple business units, and introducing platforms, governance, and data strategies that enable innovation while maintaining stability, security, and compliance. Right?
Yeah,
So,
that's a huge Fortune 500 is I think the whole different game altogether because you
it is
mentioned governance, compliance,
correct.
data. It's a lot. That I think there is a whole different ballpark. So if you work in the startup, it's a different. If you do digital transformation, SMEs is different, and Fortune 500 is totally different. So I can see that. Yeah, I think that's very good insight. During this whole journey, right? I mean, you did a lot of digital transformation in different journey for different companies as well. There is definitely it is not something we decided to do digital transformation, everything goes smooth. It never happens. So there is always a mistake that companies make,
Yes.
right? It is always not like the smooth path. So everybody makes the mistake. During this whole digital transformation journey at different steps, I'm sure there is a lot of mistake that you have seen how people make it, whether it's a people problem, it's adoption problem, it's a problem of mindset, it's a problem, maybe geopolitical problem. I don't know. What are the mistakes normally people make and how you correct them? Help me to understand as a CTO how you play a role
Yeah.
in this journey.
I lived through these mistakes on my career. So I categorize it in four primary mistakes, right? I believe those, if you can avoid those four mistakes, you're good to go. The first mistake is the most common. Companies are treating digital transformation as a technology project rather than a business-led initiative. Companies often start with tools or platforms or even technologies before clearly defining the business objectives they are trying to achieve, right? So I correct this by realigning everything to a roadmap tied to measurable goals like revenue growth, cost reduction, customer experience, even speed to market. So again, technology decisions should be driven by value, not trends. That's the biggest mistake everybody makes. The second mistake is another frequent one, right? Is the lack of alignment across leadership.
Yeah, it's very
I get
important to
this
be
many
honest.
times. It's like talking different languages, right? So transformation stalls when different parts of the organization go after conflicting priorities. IT wants to do this, COO wants to do that the CFO has a different opinion, right? So how do I address this? By establishing clear governance and policies, leadership sponsorship, and a shared roadmap that everyone across teams approves, right? Uh, Everybody has to play the same game, being in part of the team, right? Nobody owns this, but everybody owns this transformation initiative.
That's true.
The third mistake is underestimating change management, right? Technology can be implemented, but the processes, culture, and even adoption are not addressed, the impact is limited. So, how do I help to correct this, what I call change management fundamentals? Number one is documentation. Two is training. Three, which is very important, communication and transparency. And the last one is stakeholder alignment. They should be engaged and they should keep accountability from the beginning. Okay, this is not an afterthought.
That's
Right?
true.
And the fourth final mistake is when organizations try to do too much at once. Right?
That happens. That happens. I
Right?
was just
Right?
watching a video.
Right.
Yeah.
They have to focus, right? Break it transformation into phases, right? By prioritize milestones that deliver incremental value, right? So uh, the business has to focus. They have to go again to documenting and understand exactly what they want and have the alignment.
Makes sense. I think that reminds me of one of the Jeff Bezos video that initial days that he has a lot of ideas, I mean, he keeps throwing ideas. I'm talking specifically for the fourth point that you mentioned. Bezos, like, I was just watching one of the video. Like, he keep throwing a lot of ideas, and one of his employee came in and say, Jeff, you are throwing too much ideas that gonna destruct Amazon. You are planning to shut down this company. Are you sure you want to do that? Jeff says, no, I'm not doing that. The other person who was kind of the employee, he said, you are throwing too much idea. Organization is not able to keep the pace. So I think to embark the or reinforce the fourth point that you mentioned is everybody should be aligned. The speed, they need to know what is the DNA of our organization. Is it speed, accuracy? Is it too much that a CEO or CTO is giving to organization to fast track or no? So I think that gives me a very good glimpse. Like these are the 4 points that every CTO has to make sure.
Yeah.
IT transformation or digital transformations, these 4 points, we never make a mistake. So I think that's
Don't boil the ocean either. That's what they try to do, boil the ocean in one day. They have to be more careful with that.
be more careful and decide the priority, because otherwise if I have every day new ideas, I cannot implement new ideas every day. I need to check where I want to do, where I want to go. Is it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days plan? Decide. Oh, I do 5 okay, park it. Don't implement right now. Park it for now and then maybe decide later stage. So I think I get it. Love it. So because you have worked with a lot of digital transformations and you have seen your told like 4 bigger mistakes, normal mistakes that people make it. But being the CTO, when we go in the boardroom, the leadership team doesn't know more on the tech side. So there is a different languages. CTO speaks a little bit technical language. A leadership, if it's a CEO or CMO, they always speak a language of ROI. Like what is the ROI looks like? A CTO technically speaking the same language but different approach.
Right.
So as an IT strategist or CTO, how do you align technology decisions with business outcomes? Because see, you always look, okay, if I spend $1, what is the outcome? As a CTO, we look from the technical perspective plus strategy as well.
Right.
How do you often make the language similar when you are in the boardroom? What does that discussion looks like? Help me to understand, George, from your experience.
So very interesting question, actually. Well, I bridge the gap by translating technology decisions to business outcomes and attaching both to a shared roadmap. Instead of discussing systems, architecture, or tools in isolation, right? I frame conversations around impact. For example, revenue, cost, risk, customer experience, of course, speed to market. These are the stuff the business understand very well, right? This is a very good way for leadership to clearly see how each decision support business priorities, right? That's how you do it. I call it a dictionary. You connect technology with the business requirements. Now, practically, this means mapping every major initiative to specific business objective, right?
Excellent.
Defining measurable KPIs, right, up front. That's very important to them. And also avoid jargon when communicating with executives. And instead, I use business relevant language, right? While providing enough technical clarity behind the scenes, right? In addition, I establish structured governance. It includes regular reviews, clear priorities, transparent progress tracking, so both technical and business stakeholders stay aligned. And ultimately, the goal is to make technology an enabler to the business strategy, not separate conversation. So again, try to connect those two. Don't create the technology conversation and the business conversation. You need to create one language that both sides understand well.
But normally, George, I've seen like CTOs is more aligned on the tech side. They don't speak the
Yes.
language. I think
Very
that's
comfortable with that, yes.
yeah, that one thing as a CTO. If we are becoming a CTO, if somebody wants to become CTO, understand the business part as well. It is just not technology, because technology, it's a tool. Technology is a tool. Yeah, it's an enabler. So love it. I think the business language needs to be spoken in the boardroom. Love it, love it. I think we are gaining a lot of knowledge from you, George. Thanks for that. Uh, so during your journey of the digital transformation, based on the data that I have collected, you did something in the digital transformation in traditional manufacturing, if I may get it right. Yeah.
Yep.
What was that? Help me to understand what was that and how you did it.
So I work for two companies, two manufacturers. The PepsiCo, of course, huge manufacturer. of food and beverages, and then Mana Products, a cosmetic company based
Mana.
in New York
Okay.
City.
It was MANA. Mana.
Mana Products, yeah, it's the last company actually have factories in New York City and develop high-end products for Estee Lauder, Bobbi Brown, etc., the big brand names. So, very good question, actually. The two go together. So, I would say at this core, data manufacturing is about connecting what's happening on the factory floor, right? With data systems. So you get a better visibility, run things more efficiently, and stay control operations, right? That's a core value of digital manufacturing. Now, in a traditional manufacturing environment, this often starts with instrumenting the factory floor. What do I mean by that? Are the sensors, IoT devices, a capturing real-time data from machines, right? Production lines, and QA systems. That data is then centralized into platforms where it can be monitored, analyzed, and used by decision making.
Okay.
Right? Now, from there, you typically see the introduction of systems that connect planning and execution. Those systems are manufacturing execution systems or manufacturing scheduling systems, right? Now, these systems are then integrated in with ERP systems and supply chain tools. Now, this allows the leadership to move from manual reporting to real-time visibility into production performance, inventory levels, downtime, and throughput.
Makes
Right?
sense.
So a key part of the implementation is standardizing processes and data models so that information is it's consistent across plant systems. Alongside these, dashboards and analytics tools are deployed to give operators, managers, and executives real-time access, enabling faster issue resolution and better forecasting. Right?
So if I may convert this into very easy to understand, so let's say if I'm a CEO of the PepsiCo, just example, giving an example, fortunate to have for sure, but let's say if I'm a CEO of PepsiCo, for me, I always look at the data. The data is very crucial part if you look at the manufacturing.
Absolutely.
How much has been produced? What is the forecasting looks like? Because based on that, we talk to sales team. Okay, we have this manufacturing, this many of manufacturing, all the pieces that are coming as the beverages. Make sure you sell it. And then we look at the data, how much profit, margin, what does the expansion look like? So real-time data that you mentioned coming at the production level, that is so solid. That is very much. If can you help me, George? Like in which year you was part of this digital transformation? Was it before 2000 or was it after 2000?
I started before 2000 and I continue after that.
Okay, I see. Love it. So basically, this digital transformation happened after 2000, where when you joined in PepsiCo and then you did it. Okay, great. And in the Mana that you mentioned, MANA, Mana, that was also after 2000.
Yeah, that was 2016, 2014 to 2018. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, we talk a lot about now digital transformation, and thanks. I think I get the insight how digital transformation looks like for startup, SME, and Fortune 500 companies. How to talk to leadership team because we need to talk the ROI as well. So as a CTO, we just don't talk about technical. We talk about ROI. That's what every CTO has to learn. How the digital transformation looks like production level or let's say manufacturing, how digital transformation. So good. I think this is very good insight that we got so far. Now let's consider a little bit about like as a CTO, we co-founded a company with another, let's say CEO or any co-founder. We reach to a point when a big organization is merging or let's say they are acquiring a startups and being let's say if I'm a CTO of one of the startups, let's say PepsiCo came in. You are sitting in the PepsiCo as a IT strategist. Our technology as a startup needs to integrate into PepsiCo technology stack. When the merger or acquisition happens, this tech stack, IT strategy is often more of, I would say, chaos always. Or they are using this, they are using that, or there is a governance problem, or there is a this problem, or data problem, XYZ. There is a lot about IT in that. How do you approach those challenges? I'm sure you have done one of the acquisition during your PepsiCo journey. Help me to understand how it looks like when merger happens. What an CTO does in that.
Yeah, so I was in both sides of the fence, working for the company, did acquisition on the other side too. So when it comes to mergers acquisition, it really comes down to bringing structure and priorities to what is usually a very chaotic environment, right? Always attached to the business objective of the deal. You have to do that, otherwise you get lost, right? First, right, I focus on stabilization and business continuity, ensuring critical systems, operation, customer-facing services remain uninterrupted. Customers don't care if, or I would say don't care, but they're not concerned so much one company or the other. What they care is, are their services up and running? Their products can arrive on time, right?
Yeah.
So the rule of thumb, day one readiness is about minimizing risk, not over integrated too quickly.
Interesting.
Right? Next, what I do next, the day one is done, we're still alive, it's great, it's fantastic. Well, I establish a clear integration roadmap aligned with the deal thesis, right? So not everything needs to be integrated immediately, right? So I segment systems into what must be unified. For example, finance, reporting, security, and networks versus what can remain standalone temporarily, right? A key step is rapid assessment, rationalization, and understand both environments, right? Another example, applications, infrastructure, data vendors, and identifying overlaps, gaps, and risk. So you need to do all the above, right? From there, I define a target architecture and phase path to get there, right? I also place strong emphasis on data quality. You mentioned data quality earlier, right? Is the king. Without data, without clean data, not just data, you're gonna go backwards. You won't be able to accomplish your acquisition. Finally, I implement tight governance. You see the word governance is constantly coming on the surface, right? Governance and communication, right? And for example, a clear decision rights, regular checkpoints, transparency with the stakeholders, the business, right? This keep integration alignment, prevents scope creep, and ensure that IT is enabling the deal's value rather than slowing down. Okay. And I have one sentence for that. If I want to summarize, the above, I don't try to boil the ocean. You gotta be careful with that.
Yeah.
Integration can go up to 2-3 years, depending the status of both companies. Are you ready to accept my ERP system? How you are networked? How you are? It's so many million questions. You have to create a list, pretty much, and go through them and create priorities.
Yeah, I get it. So I think so. So what I understood is like during merger and acquisition, if it's a point of IT integrations and if different stake, data, governance, this all the things needs to be taken care. So it is just not okay, integrate API and you're good to go. No. So you have to understand. So it might take 2 to 3 years. That's what I understand from your statement. It might take 2 to 3 years to fully integrate whatever acquisition has been done in the current system, because customer is the first priority always. As a CTO, your tech doesn't matter if the customer is not satisfied. So customer matters a lot in any organization, whether it's a startup, SMEs, or I would say, I think
I cannot hear that in some cases you lose a customer, it doesn't come back. And if you lose a customer because he cannot get his order, so companies are very minded of this. They're very careful when, okay, we merge. We have to be careful not to affect the clients and customers. So
makes sense.
That is, it's huge.
And I think what I have seen is like there is two kind of tools. So either it's an internal tool that we acquisition, or it's an external tool customer facing. So there is always a two kind of tools that being acquired. Either some of the tools being acquired to make internal process or performance metrics, or to improve the internal quality or productivity. The second tool normally being acquisition is, I would say, uh, the customer facing part. Like, so I think that matters a lot which tool we are acquiring and when to integrate that. So I think that gives me
Absolutely.
a very, very interesting thought over there. Love it.
Yeah.
So when we talk about, I would say, merger, acquisition, enterprise, that there is always a risk, because
Right.
let's say if one of the company being acquired and we merge into, let's say one of the startup being acquired by, let's say, Google, just example, and that startup have some vulnerability in the tool or software or anything. How enterprise manage this risk? I'm
Yeah.
sure there is also disaster recovery that I think most of the CTO who haven't worked in Fortune 500 companies or big organization, they need to know d- disaster recovery is most critical part. Something goes down, how fast you can come back online. So that's very, very critical part.
Right.
And business continuity as well. So if I look at from the enterprise point of view, the business continuity is so important. So let's say in current situation in the geopolitical, whatever is happening in Middle East, there is a lot of, I would say, I wouldn't go too much in politics, but there is a lot of businesses already being shut down. So large factories, or I would say petrochemical factories, also being shut down. So if I think from the business continuity point of view, it's still a buzzword from the
Right.
corporate point of view, but it's still needed. What do you what actually as a CTO we do to protect companies in real life to make sure its business continuity is happening? There is a disaster recovery as well, enterprise risk being managed. So I know, in fact, couple of years or 1 or 2 years back, Microsoft servers goes down. There was a security patch they released, and all the airport in India, or I would say around the world, everybody was in the queue to get onboarded in the plan. But
Yeah.
the operating system was corrupted. So this happens. So as a CTO, how do you look at this as a risk management, disaster recovery, business continuity? How you look at that? Share your thoughts on this.
So people look at risk management, disaster recovery, business continuity as I think you said buzzwords. Uh, I don't look at them and they're called they're not buzzwords,
Mhm.
right? They're about making sure that business can survive real world disruption and keep operating when things go wrong, right? So
Yeah.
let's identify those three areas and see where they belong. So enterprise risk management proactively identifies, assess, and mitigates risk to protect the strength of organization. It protects against the unknowns that can hurt the business. For example, cyber attacks, regulatory fines, vendor failures, what else? Market shifts, even internal processes failure.
Mm.
So the enterprise risk management proactively is looking for these problems before it hits you, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Disaster recovery is more specific, right? It protects against technology failure.
Yeah.
If your system go down due to a cyber incident or cloud outage or infrastructure failure, DR ensures you can restore system and data quickly so the business isn't paralyzed, like having multiple data centers, right? Having tape backups, etc. And then we have business continuity that goes a level higher, right? It protects the operation of the business as a whole. So
Mm.
if a factory, for example, shuts down, a key supplier fails, or a major disruption hits, business continuity ensure there are alternative ways to keep serving customers, producing goods, and operating critical functions. So if I could summarize them in plain English, all three of them, right? Enterprise risk management helps you seek risk coming. So you're gonna see the risk coming before they hit you. That's huge for every organization. Disaster recovery helps you recover your systems, right? And the business continuity helps you keep the business running no matter what, right? So together, they protect revenue, reputation, and customer trust, right? These are the things that are very hard to rebuild once lost. Like I said earlier, some companies, they lose clients or customers that are coming back because they don't want, they lose their trust in the company. So those three functions together, methodologies, if a company take care of them and they build solid foundation for those three, I think that's the best protection they have. Nothing's 100% yet, but that's huge.
Yeah, so the preparation is required in this all the cases. Yeah, I think this is very interesting point that you have mentioned. Love it. Love it. I think you are hitting very hard. What I have seen so far is customer who goes, they never come back.
Yeah.
I think this is the tagline of this podcast. Like every CTO has to make sure customer are taken care. Whatever technology you use it, but make sure customers are taken care. So love it. I think so. So tell me like one factor, one risk factor during this all the conversation that we did. Most businesses completely underestimate.
Yeah, it's
They feel that. I mean, they don't care. They feel like, okay, this is fine. We will take care when time comes. This is fine. We will take care when time comes. What is that one risk factor that you think you have seen so far during your journey until
so
it hits? It's too late.
yes.
It is nothing to do with like the current ROI, but it might have to do with the future ROI. What is that one risk factor?
So this factor I have in mind is I see it with startups mostly. I see it with SMEs. I saw it with Fortune 500, and it's a more underestimated risk in any organization. I call it undocumented knowledge. Right. This is what lives in people's heads. Right. It's still system and documentation. Somebody told me once that's job security. Right. I know how the ERP systems and what is written is my brain. You lose it, you lose everything, right?
That's true.
So,
That's true, by the way. I agree.
and you know the funny thing, I saw in every company I work for it. Not it's an overall, but I isolated in some projects, some systems. So companies assume the operations are stable, right? Because things are working in double codes, right? But in reality, critical processes, integrations, and decisions often rely on a few key individuals. When these people leave, are unavailable, overwhelmed, everything from systems to workflows can break down very quickly.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
So, how do I address this? I'm a CTO, I'm a CIO, right? I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my God, if Joe leaves the company tomorrow, we're in bad shape, right? So I address this by forcing visibility and structure, right? For example, documenting processes, right? Methodologies, standardizing systems, reducing single points of failure, and building redundancy. Redundancy is huge from both technology and teams. You cannot have one cybersecurity knows everything in your company or a developer for a specific system, right? You have to have redundancy. Now, the goal is to shift from person-dependent operations to system-driven ones, right? Enabling the business to scale reliably, operate with consistency, right? And remain resilient without relying on undocumented knowledge. So yes, undocumented knowledge, in my mind, is one of the biggest risk companies face it today, and it's like a black ice. When they hit it, they don't know when it hit them.
So, what do you think, George? Out of topic, very, very quick. Does AI help in this?
AI helping them in some capacity, yes, but you cannot rely on AI 100%, right? They can go to AI and get fast, quick answers. If the undocumented knowledge person is not available, AI can help them document this. Actually, it can it take a developer 3 weeks to document all the code he wrote. He can probably run AI and get this within a day. So yes, utilizing AI, it's huge.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I think AI is helping a lot. I think I'll just come back to those questions as well regarding AI and how it helps, how CTO can utilize in their current role. So let me now a little bit because couple of, I mean, a lot of our audiences are aspiring CTO. They need an advice from a senior CTO like you. So let's consider if I'm a developer. This is my first thing. What are the biggest mistake that I need to avoid to climb the ladder? If I want to become a CTO, basically, what are the points that I need to avoid from today? Is it like too much focus on technology that I need to avoid? Too much business things I need to? What exactly the mistake that you as a senior CTO, if I'm a developer, look at me, tell me, guys, make sure Nishan don't make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mistake. Tell me about that.
Yeah. This is a good subject. I have a bunch of mentees. I mentor young developers. I love to mentor them, and I will summarize for you what I tell them. Right. So what I tell my mentees is the biggest mistake a young developers is staying purely technical for too long. Right. So strong engineers often assume that deeper expertise, leads to leadership roles. But moving towards CTO CIO requires shifting from building system to driving business outcomes. Right. So if you don't start developing business acumen early, like understanding revenue models, understanding customers, understanding strategy, you will hit a ceiling.
Makes sense. Right? Yeah, I think that's very good insight.
The first big mistake they're making, right? Another common mistake is avoiding ownership beyond your code. Right? Future leaders step up into confusion. Right? Don't do just tasks. Right? Own projects, influence decisions, and be accountable for outcomes.
That's true. Right?
If you only execute tickets, you don't build leadership muscle, you don't go to higher levels.
That's true. So ownership matters a lot rather than ticket or solution. I think ownership, I understood correctly. So let's say if I'm a junior developer right now, starting, this is my first day in software or IT industry.
Right.
So what I understood is like, I don't need to just own ticket. I just don't need to solve one task. I need to own the output. So I need to understand the whole system, where this task, what I'm doing, what is the impact of that. Make sure if any bugs, I own that, I solve that on time, so that every other function can work properly. Good, love it. Love it. So I think that answers my second question after this as well. So basically, I need to focus on leadership if I want to become a CTO, or just rather than coding, I need to own the output as well. I need to think business accumulations, just not coding. So I think that answered my next question, because that was the question. And thanks for that you understood very quickly, like what could be the next question. So tell me now, the path becoming a CTO looks very different today. Why? Right? I mean, because 10 years back or 20 years back, when you started back in 2000 or 1998, I think that was a different story altogether, where everybody was doing coding. Then you become a senior engineer, then you become a tech lead, then you understand a little bit about business, then you think, okay, now is that, then you become a VP of engineering. So this was the ladder previously. But in this era of AI, what does that look like becoming a CTO? And do you think like being a, or thinking about becoming a CTO is worthwhile nowadays? Oh, what is your thought process, George?
Yeah, the CTO roadmap, right? So you're absolutely right. It is a totally different landscape today, right?
Yeah.
The path to become a CTO is no longer a linear climb. It's about continuously expanding your scope of influence and thinking. As we said earlier, right? You move from writing code to designing systems to understanding the business and ultimately to shaping strategy, which is the ultimate of a CTO. At the same time, you expect it to evolve alongside AI. So now you got a partner in your path to the CTO, right? So as you move toward leadership, the role becomes less about technology itself and more about decision making, prioritization, and influence. You are defining roadmaps, managing risk, building teams, and communicating with executives. AI becomes a strategic tool by impacting data, right? Operations, customer experience, and even new business models. So, at the highest level, the CTO is a business leader who happens to own technology, right? The focus is on shaping strategy, driving innovation, and ensuring the organization can adapt quickly to change, right? Including how AI is embedded across the company, not just within engineering. So, in summary, the modern roadmap looks like you start as a builder, and as you get experience, you transition to owner and then leader, and then ultimate a strategist. So the role shift from doing to owning to leading and finally shaping the business.
Makes sense. I
Makes
think
sense?
perfect. I think love the analogy that you are using. I'm sure like people can connect that very well. Good, good, good. So let's shift a little bit on AI side because AI, like in which podcast we don't talk about AI. So as a CTO, help me to understand like what is the impact of AI? Tell me like your open thoughts about AI. Let's
So I think one of the major problems I saw with AI was some of the leaders like CIO, CTOs I speak to, I think they go with AI because it's cool. It's something everybody does. We should do it. I think AI should be attached to the company roadmap. You have to understand what the CEO, the board of the company wants to be in the next 3 to 5 years. And based on that roadmap, you should allow an AI to enable the business, right? ROI, make sure that you're going to get the return of your investment, right? I did a huge AI project in one of my company, one of my clients, and that we spent $120,000, but increased revenue and a customer, right? You have to look at where the company goes and adapt the AI as you go with it.
I see. And as a CTO, how you are preparing for that. So personally about you. So as a George, being a CTO, CIO on different organizations, sitting as a board member as well, what are the skill set that you are learning? How you are shifting your mindset? How hard decision that come up with that? So tell me a little bit about that as a CTO. If I want to upgrade myself, what are the skill set that I need to upgrade as a CTO? Tell me a little bit about more that on
So,
more on that side. Yeah.
so well, first of all, you have to set a clear AI strategy tied to business value. That's what I said earlier, right? Second, build a scalable data foundation, right?
Okay.
Third, modernize the tech stack, right? This includes cloud readiness, API-driven architecture, integrating AI platforms. For establish governance and risk controls.
Okay.
Another one is upskill the organization, right? This is a big one. I'm investing in training so teams understand how to use AI tools, right? Not everyone needs to be a data scientist, but everyone should know how AI can enhance their role.
Makes sense.
Redesign workflows, not just tools, all right? Instead of layering AI into existing processes, I'm thinking how work gets done. Where can AI automate decisions?
Yeah, that's true.
Another is drive a culture of experimentation with discipline, right? That's what I said earlier, encouraging teams to test and learn quickly, right? But within a structure framework that scales what works and shuts down what doesn't. So make sure, again, follow the company roadmap, where you want to go, where you want to be in 3 to 5 years from now. And then partner strategically, right? No company builds everything in-house anymore, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So you need to get the right partners from outside to help you incorporate into tools and methodologies. The most important, though, out of these lines identify is stay close to the business.
Stay close to business. Oh, that's true.
Ensure the AI isn't just an IT initiative. If you make AI as an IT, you're going to fail. It has to embed into conversation with the CEO, CFO, COO, and the business leaders. You have to have that conversation with them before you make any decision what AI initiative you're going to start.
So what I understood is like as a CTO, personally has to understand the data, personally has to try different tools, make sure you learn that faster. Also talk to the current business owners as well, like okay, hey, how we can adopt in current organization, whether there is ROI or no. So I think the data driven as well. So I think that makes more sense to this one. We talk about a lot, George, in this direction, like technology moving so fast, adoption, or do this. Everybody's in the race right now, becoming a digital gold. Who will make the first digital gold in this world? And that's where everybody's moving. Like software engineering, manufacturers wants to AI adopt. Every industry want right now AI adoptions.
Right.
But this is like very crucial things. Everybody wants to move so fast, but everybody is at the end of the day human. So that should be something as a CTU level. Also, we need to talk about work-life balance, mental health. Tell me at the board level across multiple companies and time zone that you've been working, right? How do you personally manage work-life balance, and do you do that or no?
Yes, I mean, I, you have to avoid burnout, right? Um, so let's work with the burnout, right? For me, work-life balance isn't about splitting time evenly,
Mm.
right? It's about managing energy and priorities intentionally without working less, right?
Mhm.
It's about working with control and intention.
Mm.
So, first, I make sure that my priority list is clear. Not everything deserves equal attention. So I focus on a few initiatives that truly move the needles across each project or organization.
Mm.
Then I enforce structured time boundaries. I group similar work like strategy, execution, and advisory into dedicated blocks. So without this discipline, the role quickly becomes 24/7. You don't want
Mm.
to do that, right?
Exactly.
I rely on strong teams and delegation. Okay, operating on a board and multi-company level only works if you trust the people on the ground,
Mm.
right?
Trust
And
is required.
finally,
Yeah.
intentionally say no. Your overcommitment is the fastest path to burnout.
Yes.
So I only engage where I can add really real value. So
That's true. That's true.
learn how to say no sometimes, because when you hit the
That's
ceiling,
true.
the only way you're gonna go is down. So you want to make sure that you don't do that.
Yeah, I think I love it. I think if I want to summarize this podcast with George, what I understood is everything is important. Prioritize the things. Make sure you are prepared for the future.
Right.
Governance is important. In merger acquisition, those business continuity is required. What I understood, client is at the core of every business, whether you are CTO or CEO. If client is not there, what are you gonna work for? So I think that's even
Right.
being the CTO, that strategy is always required. Talking business language, being a CTO is most important thing. You everybody who is watching this podcast, make sure learn that. How to speak ROI language. What is ROI? Learn that. How to speak. Why this technology? How it will align with the leadership that are thinking about, because IT or software is a tool that enables the business. So that's what I learned from you, George, is at the core, it's client. Once client goes, they never come back as well. Whether it's a digital transfer or whatever transformation we are doing. So client is definitely at the core of this business or even digital transformation as well. So love this all the insight that you have given, and also for aspiring CTO, as you have given very good insight. Like focus on what is important. Make sure you don't make those common mistakes as well. And at the end, we discuss about AI, which is very hot topic. Who don't talk about AI? And then we talk about work-life balance, mental health as well. So I think these are very journey of George that we discuss as well. And thanks for your all the insight, George. We love this. Hope our all the audience will love this feedback as well. Thank you so much, George. Any last point that you want to go over, George, that you want to say to aspiring CTOs or all the peer CTO that who are watching this right now?
I would say stay in core. If you're a young developer and you like to expand your career and become a CIO, CTO, try to get out of the shelf of being a developer, right? Expand your vision, become a more business oriented professional, um, and don't afraid to use tools. AI is one of them, right? I try to get help when it's needed, right? And like we said, the last points I make, try not to burn yourself, right? Take breaks. Um, Try to relax and do things that also is part of life, right? So I believe mixing work and personal life in a healthy way, it helps you grow very quickly.
That's true. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for your time. And thanks for your all insight as well. That was very good insight in this podcast. Thanks for your time. Thank you so much. If this conversation made you uncomfortable, good. That means it's working. George just gave you the roadmap that most CTOs spend decades trying to figure out. The question is, what are you going to do with it? If you are serious about your journey in the tech leadership, hit subscribe. Because every week I'm going to sit with different CTOs, talk about their story, their journey across different industry. Not the one who just talk about it. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Thank you so much.